If you were offered a large house for just $1, would you take it? I thought it was too good to be true. But when night fell, I realized I had made a mistake. A big mistake. I first saw the ad on a crumpled flyer stuck under my windshield wiper in a grocery store parking lot. House for sale. Great condition. Only $1. Terms to be discussed on site. It had no phone number, just an address. I almost laughed it off, but curiosity is a funny thing, and I had nothing to lose. I wasn't in the best place. Divorced, struggling with money, sick of living in a cramped apartment. A fresh start in a new home for a single dollar? It felt like fate, so I went. The house was beautiful, in an old Victorian style, sitting at the very end of a long, tree-lined street. But there was something unnatural about it. The lawn was perfectly trimmed. The windows too clean, as if no dust had ever settled. And yet, something about it felt wrong, like an empty stage waiting for actors who never came. The seller was already waiting for me on the porch. A gaunt, hollow-eyed man in an ill-fitting suit. His skin was pale, almost gray, his lips cracked. He looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. "You're here for the house?" he asked, voice flat. "Yeah," I said, glancing around. "Is this some kind of joke?" He shook his head. "No, yo, just take it. The deed is inside. Everything's signed. The house is yours." I stared at him. Something was off. "Why are you selling it for $1? I asked. He swallowed hard, staring at the open doorway behind him. Finally, he said, "Because I need to leave before dark." He shoved the keys into my hand. I barely had time to react before he turned and hurried down the porch steps. "Wait!" I called after him. "What's the catch?" He stopped at his car door. His fingers trembled as he gripped the handle. He turned to me one last time, and in a low, shaking voice he said, "If you hear voices, don't respond. And whatever you do, don't look in the mirror." Then he got in his car and sped off without another word. I watched him disappear down the road, a sinking feeling gnawing at my gut. I should have left, but I didn't. I stepped inside the house, closing the door behind me. And from somewhere upstairs, just for a moment, I heard something move. The house smelled like old wood and dust, but beneath that, something faintly sour, like rotting fruit. I shook it off. It was just a house. The living room was beautiful. Antique furniture, a grand fireplace, and bookshelves lining the walls. Everything looked like it had been untouched for decades, yet there wasn't a single speck of dust. I should have wondered why. Instead, I dropped my bag by the stairs and started exploring. Small things felt off. The first thing I noticed was the clocks. Every single one. On the walls, on the nightstands, even a small pocket watch left on the dining table, had stopped at the same time. 3:13 nachts. I tapped the glass on a nearby wall clock. Nothing. Dead. Weird but not terrifying. The next thing was the mirrors. There were so many of them, in almost every room. Tall ones with ornate gold frames, cracked ones in forgotten hallways. But there was something wrong with them. When I walked past them, I noticed a delay in my reflection. I turned my head slightly. My reflection followed just a second too late. I waved my hand. The reflection smiled. I hadn't smiled. I stumbled back, heart hammering. My breath fogged the glass slightly, but the reflection didn't. I left the room immediately. The first warning. By midnight, I had convinced myself it was just my imagination. A weird trick of the light. The house was old. The air felt strange. I was tired. Then I found a notebook. It was sitting in the back of a hallway closet, covered in dust, the pages yellowed with age. There was only one sentence written inside. "You are already inside. Now they know you're here." A chill crawled down my spine. I heard footsteps, faint, coming from upstairs. I wasn't alone. Heart pounding, I grabbed my phone and checked the screen, black. The battery had been full an hour ago. Then, bang, a door upstairs slammed shut. I grabbed the closest thing I could find, an old metal fireplace poker, and started moving toward the staircase. I should have run, but I didn't, because as I reached the first step, I heard it. A voice. Thin, childlike, right behind me. "Can you see us?" I spun around. Nothing was there. Then I saw it. The bathroom door at the end of the hall had creaked open on its own. And inside the dark room, the mirror was glowing. Something inside it was moving. I should have left the house. I should have turned around, walked out the door, and never looked back. But I didn't. Something about the glowing mirror held me in place. A slow-moving shadow within it, shifting behind the glass. I took a step closer. The light from the mirror pulsed like a heartbeat. Something was watching me. Then, just for a moment, it moved closer. I saw it. A face. Too dark to make out details, but its eyes were wide, unblinking. And then it smiled. The house shuts me in. The lights flickered violently, then went out. I was plunged into darkness. My breath hitched. I reached into my pocket for my phone, still dead. The silence was thick, suffocating. I could hear nothing. Not the wind outside. Not the ticking of a clock. Not even my own breathing. I tried to move, but the floor felt wrong. Soft, like stepping on something that wasn't there. Then, a breath against the back of my neck. My body seized up. My mind screamed, "Don't turn around." The voice came again, right beside my ear. "Can you see us?" I couldn't take it. I spun around, but there was nothing. Just empty space. Then I saw the hallway, and I realized something had changed. The hallway was no longer the same. The house had shifted. The stairs were gone. The front door was gone. The hallway stretched endlessly, doors lining both sides, disappearing into the darkness. I took a step forward. Bang! Every door in the hallway slammed shut at once. A low whispering filled the air. I turned, heart hammering. The bathroom door was wide open now, and standing just inside the threshold was me. I couldn't move. I was standing in the bathroom doorway, but I was also here, frozen in the dark hallway, staring at myself. The other me grinned. Not a normal grin, a stretched, unnatural thing, too wide, too wrong. Its teeth too sharp. It tilted its head, watching me with those empty, hungry eyes. Then, it took a step forward. I tried to run. I stumbled back so fast I nearly tripped. My hands slammed against the wall behind me, my breath coming in panicked gasps. The thing that wore my face moved closer. Its arms twitched, its body jerking unnaturally like a puppet on tangled strings. I turned and bolted. The hallway stretched forever, but I didn't care. I ran. Doors on either side of me shook violently as I passed, as if something was trying to get out. The whispering grew louder, turning into laughter. Then, my phone vibrated. My stomach dropped. I yanked it out of my pocket. The screen was still black, but a single message glowed in red letters across it. "Stop running." And then, a door ahead of me creaked open. The house shows me the truth. I skidded to a stop. The room beyond the open door was wrong. Not a normal room. It was identical to the hallway I was already in. Except, in the reflection of the hallway mirror inside, I saw people. Dozens. Hundreds. They stood just beyond the glass. Their faces distorted, their eyes hollow, their lips stretched into wide, empty grins. And then, they turned to look at me. Something grabbed my arm. I shot through my body. I whipped around. The other me was right there, inches away. Its hand clamped down on my wrist, freezing cold. It spoke, but its mouth didn't move. The voice came from everywhere. "You don't have to fight anymore." I thrashed, tried to pull away, but its grip tightened. Pain bloomed through my arm, a sharp, burning cold sinking into my bones. I screamed. The mirror figure screamed with me. And then, the house swallowed me whole. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the windows. The house was normal. No endless horrors. No whispering voices. No twisted reflection staring back at me. For a brief, beautiful moment, I thought it had all been a nightmare. Then I looked at my hands. They were not mine. The skin was paler, thinner, the veins dark beneath the surface. My fingers were too long. I stumbled to the nearest mirror, and the thing that stared back at me wasn't me. I wasn't alone in the mirror. Behind my reflection, I saw them. The others. Dozens of shadowed figures, trapped behind the glass. Their hollow faces peering over my shoulder, their wide grins never fading. I turned, but the room behind me was empty. They were only in the reflection, only in the mirror. But I knew the truth now. The house didn't just kill. It kept. A new ad appears. Somewhere beyond the walls, I heard the rustling of paper. I turned toward the front door. It was open. A newspaper lay on the doorstep, caught in the morning breeze. With trembling fingers, I picked it up, and there, on the back page, a new ad. House for sale. Great condition. Only $1. Terms to be discussed on site. The newspaper fluttered to the ground. I stepped back inside, and as the camera slowly zooms out from the house, a figure stands in the second-floor window, watching, waiting, its eyes hollow, its grin too wide, and it looks just like me.